So welcome everyone. We're so grateful that you're here today. I love seeing your beautiful faces, and we're honored that you're choosing to spend this next hour with us. As we start, I'm going to share my screen with you for a minute. Yeah, are you seeing that now? Looks like, yes. Okay, all right. So as we begin, I just want to share a short reflection with you. My heart broke into a million pieces this past week. A long-time beloved colleague of mine passed away after a decade-long battle with cancer. I served with her for 16 years in a local congregation before I started my role with the church-wide office. She was the minister of music at this congregation and one of the most Christ-centered people I have ever met. Much of how I know and experience God, especially in worship, has been shaped by my journey with her. And now, in the midst of COVID-19, we are shattered that we cannot come together as community to comfort one another in our grief or celebrate her life and service to God. I've thought a lot about hearts breaking over the past few weeks. It is said that every person on the planet will be touched in some way by this virus. In my exercise time on the trail yesterday, I talked with God about this. I pleaded with God about all of the brokenness and asked, what should we do? And in the peace of my heart and in my mind's eye, God showed me a vision of a stained glass heart, little pieces that when separate represent brokenness, but when joined together, create a beautiful mosaic with the light of Christ shining through. That image carried me the rest of my run and abides with me still today. And with that, I want to share a word from Psalm 34. The righteous cry out, and the Lord hears them. God delivers them from their troubles. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Likewise, hear the promises of God from the prophet Isaiah, the 57th chapter. I restore the crushed spirit of the humble and revive the courage of those with repentant hearts. I will heal them. I will lead them. I will comfort those who mourn, bringing words of praise to their lips. Let it be so, Lord Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
So today, we welcome back Dr. Dawn Eisenhower, owner of Coaching at End of Life. Dawn is going to bring us back to the topic we explored last week, sharing our grief and our hope. Today, we will focus on what this looks like as we engage with those we serve. And now, Dawn.
Share my screen. Thank you. It's a great joy to be back here with you again. If you were here with us last Wednesday, as Jill just shared, you'll know that our topic was sharing our grief and our hope with one another as leaders. And that's exactly what we did last week. After I shared, you all broke into your breakout rooms and you started sharing with each other about yourselves and what you were experiencing in the midst of COVID-19. In essence, what we were doing last week was taking the oxygen and putting it on ourselves first and foremost, which is absolutely the place where we need to start. And let me just remind you, what we did last week is not a once and done thing. Okay, don't get into thinking, okay, last week I took care of myself, I shared what I needed, now I'm good to just focus on everybody else. No, it is imperative that we continue to do our own self-care, that we continue to share and express what we're experiencing in the midst of this pandemic and finding those safe and brave people and places where we can continue to share it. But that's not our focus today. Today, our focus, as Jill said, is to look around us, to look to those whom we serve, and to say, who else is in need of some help in getting their oxygen mask put on? So yes, the topic today, sharing our grief and our hope with those whom we serve. Last Wednesday, I shared with you 8 principles for coaching ourselves through COVID-19. Okay, that was the self-care portion. You did some talking about those 8 principles. Well, today I want us to take those very same principles that we shared last week, except to turn them around this time. To turn them around and to say, what are 8 principles for coaching others through COVID-19? So let's jump right in. I'm going to be very brief today, so you have plenty of time to share in your breakout rooms. So principle number 1, provide a safe and a brave space. Okay, the opposite. Last time it was go find some safe and brave people that you can share with. Now it's our responsibility. Provide that safe and brave space for others. So let me ask you to think, how safe and brave of a space do you provide for your faith community? Can people come and share anything with you? Can they come share anything with the rest of the congregation? How can you model for the rest of those whom you serve what it means to provide a safe and a brave space? You know, the people you serve, as you well know, are filled with so many emotions right now. We looked last week at this tangled ball of emotions that many of you, that many of us, me too, are experiencing. We need to remember how much the people in our faith communities are experiencing all these tangled, mixed up emotions. So many of them having that feeling of free falling. I'm just not even sure what's going on around me and where I'm going to land and what it's going to be like. And in the midst of that, allow me to remind you, providing a safe and a brave space doesn't mean fixing them in the midst of that. It doesn't mean it's your responsibility to make all the people under your care to feel better. It doesn't mean your responsibility is to take away their pain. Just the opposite. It means allowing them to hurt and to cry. It means allowing them to feel or to say or to do whatever it is that they want to do and need to do. Let me share personally for a minute here. On Sunday, my 90-year-old mom, who lives with me, fell and broke her hip. On Monday, she had a partial hip replacement. Yesterday, she was diagnosed with pneumonia and they found masses in her ovaries. I've had the opportunity to talk with a lot of people and just share what I'm feeling in the midst of this. And you know how some people have been responding? The first thing they want to do is make me feel better. They try to say things that, oh, it's not that bad, and oh, she's going to be okay. And they try to say all these really positive things because they want to take away my pain and make me feel better. And you know what? They are not helpful because I don't need to feel better right now. What I need is to be able to share the reality of what I'm feeling, to be able to express my concerns, to express my fears of having my 90-year-old mom sharing a hospital that's filled with COVID-19 patients. So let me ask once again, how safe and brave are you? How safe and brave is your congregation? Let me encourage you to reflect on that, because you're going to have the opportunity to talk about that when you go into your breakout rooms in just a couple of minutes. But remember, we said this last week, just like sinner and saint fit together, just like law and gospel fit together, grief and hope fit together as well. Do you allow them to fit together with those whom you serve, rather than trying to take one away and say it has to be all one? Let me go on to number 2. Principle number 2 says not only is it imperative that we provide that safe and brave space where they can share anything they want, but we want to encourage them to share their real emotions more than ever. And what's our role as we encourage them to do that? It's to get right on board that roller coaster with them and to go for the ride of our lives with them. Go right with them as they share that roller coaster of emotions. We looked at these pictures last week and some of you said, ooh, I wouldn't want to go on there. That's pretty scary. Oh, twists and turns and upside down. No, thank you. But you know what, friends? Even when it makes us sick, even when it seems like it's going to be a really wild ride, do you try to stop the roller coaster that your faith community members are on? Or do you get on board and ride the roller coaster with them? Something to reflect on. Let me encourage you to be real and honest with yourself as you reflect on this. How are you doing with it? You know, for those of us who like to fix things, this can be really hard because we want our people to feel better. We want them to be happy. We want to take away the pain. But sometimes what they really need is for you to get on board and to ride with them. Building on that even more, are you inviting your parishioners to tell their story? Even when they've already told it before and you already know everything that happened, do you invite them to share it again and again and again? To ask them powerful questions which enable them to go even deeper in sharing what is deep down within them. To ask some powerful questions such as these. What is it that you really, really need or want? What was it like when you learned that Mary was infected? What do you think about as you lie here in bed all day? What is the most difficult time for you? Who can help you with this? Where have you found your greatest support? What are some of the feelings that you're experiencing? What's past this? As you think about those whom you serve, have you been asking powerful questions like this? What difference would it make if you asked these kind of questions to those whom you serve? In the process of asking those questions, let me encourage you to consider reminding those you serve that all these emotions that they're experiencing are normal and natural. It's not strange. It's not unusual that they're experiencing them. This is normal. These are normal responses and reactions in the midst of a pandemic and everything that's happening. Even when they feel like they're going crazy and something is wrong with them, assure them with what's normal. Just normalize this experience that is so different and crazy at this time. How are you doing with that? Let me remind you, you don't need to rush the process for them either. I don't care how long it's been. Give them the time that they need. You know, there's no need to get over this. That's not even the goal here. It's not to get over it. Even in a faith community, there's no quick fix. It's not having to get over it. Give each individual the time that they need. Does your faith community know that? Do they know there's no rush to get over these feelings? They can continue to express them as much as they need, as can you. Number 6, remember, friends, you don't need to show up as the expert here. I know most of us don't know the answers to so many things either. You don't have to come and have it all together and tell them what they need to do. You're going to be far more effective if you take on the attitude of the student, to listen, to learn from all the members of your faith community, and let them share what is it they need to do. What kind of support do they need? How can you best minister to them as one whom you serve? How are you doing with that? Number 7, as you see them making progress in this whole pandemic, celebrate their growth with them. Don't push them. Just wherever they are, recognize when you see growth happening and share what you're observing. Inquire about it. Acknowledge the expressions of their faith and of their trust, even in the midst of the chaos around, and allow them to formulate their own learning. When the time comes, when you see it, let me encourage you to celebrate their growth with them. And then finally, probably most importantly, in the midst of all of that, encourage them to hold on to hope. Not to dismiss their grief and say, you need to replace that grief with hope. No, but in the midst of the grief, to hold on to hope. All of you know how to express what brings hope more than anyone else. But even more than just coming and expressing the truth of our hope, even ask them, what brings you hope in the midst of this pandemic? What do you need to feel that hope and to hold on to that hope in the midst of the crisis around? Because remember, sinner and saint, yeah. Law and gospel, yeah. Grief and hope. They can fit there together. How well are you doing with those you serve in holding the space for them to keep the grief and the hope both together side by side? So 8 principles for coaching others through COVID-19. Provide that safe and brave space for them. Get on board and ride that roller coaster right there with them. Invite them to tell their story. Assure them with what is normal. Give them as much time as they need. Come with that attitude of a student, not the expert. Celebrate their growth when you see it. And through it all, in the midst of all of it, encourage them to hold on to hope. As you look around at all those special people whom you serve, how well are you applying these principles to them? That's what we would like for you to talk about in your great breakout groups today. To be a support to one another in the midst of caring for those whom we serve. Jill?
Okay, thank you, Don. And we just appreciate your wisdom and your encouragement so much. And We will break you out now into the rooms. Some of you are blessed to have more than one coach. So coaches, work it out with yourselves how that will be facilitated. Just what a blessing of abundance of generous hearts, everyone that has shown up today. And also, I just want to take 1 second before we do that to publicly give a shout out to one of my biggest supports, my colleague and partner in ministry, Jason O'Neill, who just seriously, people, you just have no idea what I ask of him, and he just magically makes it happen in spite of all obstacles, including Google consistently shutting him down because he's doing so much work. He's sending so many emails. They think he's a spammer. And after he hits a certain limit, he gets shut down. So sometimes that's why our reminders are out a little maybe later than what our plan was. So yeah, Jason, my heart, thank you for that. So friends, I'm going to open up the rooms now. You are going to have to join in order to go there. So you're going to see a tab. It will say join room. We hope to give you a solid 30 minutes. This is such an expansion over the last sessions that we've had. And they're smaller rooms this time. So we just really expect the Spirit to show up, have beautiful conversation, and know that God is with you. We'll see you at 5 till. I'll give you a couple minute warning before we bring you back. God bless.